Right, welcome back, grade 12s, and we're now in section B. This is a big one. This is a big one because section B usually counts 75 marks. It is the largest section, so I'm going to try and go through these things quite quickly. And you can compare it to what we saw in 2023. So question 4 deals with system technology. So here you can expect anything and everything from, hardware, software, all of that type of thing. Have a look here. We find we've got here 2 disadvantages of using a wireless mouse. Now, there's certain questions I'm going to go through. Others I'm not, just for the sake of time. Obviously, with your wireless mouse, you're going to look at range. You're going to look at losing the dongle. You're going to look at the batteries. You're going to look at signal interference, anything like that. That can give you a problem. And those are disadvantages. Then your biometric security, please know that as well. They want us to explain what it is. And all we are doing, it's just security using a biological feature to access the system. Okay, that's all it is. And then you can use any one of the examples from fingerprint scanners, eye scanners, whatever, any of those. Describe. Now, I want you to pay careful attention when it comes to your theory paper to these words. Explain, describe, and then look at the mark allocation as well. Okay, so describe the purpose of a UPS compared to a permanent power supply. Now, permanent power supply, they're just talking about the power in the wall from Eskom. Okay, but is that permanent? Sorry. Yes, it is. So that's permanent. Plug it in, we've got power. What does a UPS do? First of all, what does it stand for? It stands for uninterrupted power supply. So what does it do? When Eskom decides to shut down and you've got your blackouts and you've got all your load shedding, then the UPS keeps everything running because it's got its own battery. So the battery charges from the permanent power supply and then it keeps everything running over here. So now that we know that, what is the purpose of that? And we just described that as well. Your power supply is designed. Now, when they talk about describe, you're going to have to almost compare the two. Listen to this. The power supply is designed to provide continuous power, while the UPS provides backup power during outages. Can you see how they wanted that answer? You looked at this and then did almost like a comparison to the UPS. 4.4. Recommend 3 basic hardware components to consider when buying an end-user computer. Now, your end-user computer, we're not looking at a specific one. So we're not talking about a power user or a SOHO user. It can be any of those. You are the end user. So when you go to buy a PC, what are the 3 main things you look at? Do you look at, if you're a power user, for example, do you look at the power supply? Yes, you do. Do you look at the processor? Yes, you do. The memory, the storage. Now, do you look at the motherboard? Yes, because the motherboard might have slots that you need. It might be compatible with a particular CPU you want, or it might not be. Same with the RAM. You might need it to have X number of ports on it, all those type of things. What about the graphics card? Yes. And the network card? Yes. So you can have any of those. Processor, RAM, storage, motherboard, graphics card, network card, power supply. Okay, any of those. Then the next one, a data projector has been set up and displays a no signal error. So 2 possible reasons. Well, maybe the cable's not plugged in properly. Maybe it's a faulty cable. Maybe the settings are not right. Maybe you've chosen the incorrect source. It can be any of those. Describe 2 now. Yeah. I see it already. Accessibility features. So they want accessibility features. Right? Those are things built into the computer. Describe 2 accessibility features that a deaf person can use. So the person can't hear. Don't tell me to turn up the volume. Okay? They cannot hear. So what do we use? Can we use captions? Can we use subtitles? Can we use speech to text? Can we use visual notifications? Can we have vibration notifications? Yes, we can. Any of those. Okay? One of the functions of an operating system is to manage programs and users. explain, there's that word again, explain what now? The difference between a single user system and a multi-user system. Now, here we're going to give a description of each. So you're going to tell me what a single user system is. It is a system that's limited to only one active user at a time. A multi-user system is a system that allows more than one user at a time. Do you see it's 2 marks? You give me one sentence for each of these, you've got your 2 marks. Give one example of where a multi-user system can be used. Fortnite, your online gaming, yes. Online platforms, what about Among Us? What about Call of Duty? Any of these? Okay. Suggest 2 ways how a user can customize the graphical user interface, the GUI, to suit their needs. How can you customize your GUI? You can change the background. You can adjust the screen size and icon size and mouse pointer size, all of these things. Next one, users are often at risk using flawed or faulty software. Okay, that means there's a problem with the program. It's usually the case of having a bug in the program, right? So, 4.9.1, recommend one way to fix a software bug. Now, you can do this through a patch, through a service pack, through an update. That's why they have the updates. And I know many of us don't like doing those updates, but the updates are there for a reason. Then state 2 risks of using this sort of software. You could have security issues. You could lose the actual data. The whole system could even come crashing down because of that software that's having a problem. And there can be compatibility issues between the software and the hardware and other software that you have running in your PC as well. 4.10, motivate why using the hidden attribute would be better for protecting the data in a file compared to read-only, because you won't be able to do anything because you can't see it, right? They really won't be able to see it, whereas the read-only attribute, I mean, the person can still see the file, they can take that read-only off if they want to. So, yeah, also read-only only prevents them from editing, but it's still available for the user to see. And that is a problem because they can copy it, they can delete it, they can do all of that. The only thing they can't do is read it, edit it. Okay. This utility feature shown below is used on a computer's hard drive. I know that. That is our disk defragmenter. Okay, and I mean, guys, there we go. Defragmenting the hard drive. So they say, explain why a user will use the above feature. Why would a user do that? To reorganize scattered data on a computer's disk. Now that's 1 mark. Okay, so we want to reorganize the data, the scattered data. You must use the word scattered or fragmented data on a computer's hard disk. What does that do for the 2nd mark? What does that do? It improves the performance of the hard drive. It improves the efficiency of the hard drive. That's how you get your 2 marks. Okay, question 5, based on the internet. Let's see, most of this we know. Which communication medium is used for high-speed internet connection? And I mean, most of you, 1 mark, you're just going to tell me it's fiber. You can tell me Ethernet as well. You can say 5G, cellular networks, any of those. What is meant then by a WAP, a wireless access point? So first of all, for 1 mark, because it's 2 marks, for 1 mark, it's a device. What does this device do? It allows other wireless devices to connect to a wired network. All right? So that is our wireless access point. I wonder if you remember what these things look like. Let me just get a picture of a wireless access point here. Because most of you have seen this, and then sometimes we don't take notice of what we see. There's a wireless access point. Okay. Next one. A network can be used to provide better security. Indicate one method that can be used to secure a network. Well, you can secure a network through a firewall. Remember what that is? You can secure a network through antivirus software, through encrypting the data, through putting passwords in place. That's just some of the methods that you can use to secure a network. Then give 2 reasons why a company may not choose to use an intranet. So first things first, what is an intranet? Right? We just first need to get that definition. So we know from a previous paper that we did that your internet is an internet-like environment. It's a private network specific to a particular company, and only people inside that company can access those links and that internet-like environment. That is our little intranet. Now, why would a company not want to use an intranet? In other words, what are they saying? They want 2 disadvantages of this. See how they're asking it? So maybe the company's too small. Maybe the company's just too small and they can't justify the cost of setting something like that up. Perhaps the fact that staff can bring in unauthorized devices and infect it with a virus. It does require a lot of maintenance. So maybe they don't want it because of that. And sometimes it's just too complex for employees, especially where the digital divide comes in. Right, what is the 4th industrial revolution, or the 4IR? All it is, very simply for 2 marks, is the integration of technologies in the physical, digital, biological world. That's all it is. The integration of technologies in the physical, digital, and biological world. Then they said here, state 2 advantages of tabbed web browsing. Remember when we talk about tabbed browsing, talking about this. The fact that I can open up multiple tabs and go to different websites on each one. Okay? Right. Then discuss 2 factors that may decrease upload. Can you see? All to do with the internet. So upload and download speeds. What may decrease those upload and download speeds? It could be the bandwidth. It could be applications running in the background. It could be the distance from your service provider. It could be shaping and throttling, like any of those. Yeah, you've got an email. Motivate why the subject line is inappropriate. Subject, take note. Why? Because it doesn't tell me anything. Right? It's not telling me what the topic of the email is. Okay. Next one, differentiate between high priority and flagging. So there's a high priority, and then we've got flagging. So they're asking you, what does that mean? So with high priority, this one here, these emails are marked as important and should be addressed immediately. That's what you were saying. I mean, that's what high priority means. Okay. Flagging is simply a way for you to organize and categorize your emails in order that you can keep track of them. That's it. Okay, and that's question 5 done. Let's move on. Question 6, information management. Now this one is where we find some prac things coming through. They can use any questions here. You'll sometimes find even some PAT questions coming through. Okay, so 2 ways to present research information to a target audience. Well, what did you do in your PAT? You presented a website in some cases. Some of you did a presentation. Some of you, I think you had to do a report anyway. So any of those. Give 1 reason why you would choose to use information from older sources. Okay, 1 reason could be, factual information doesn't change. And old information, you'll use that because it's more established. So you might want to use it because it's maybe historical information that you needed to present as well. So those are just some of the reasons. Can you see? These are PAT related questions. 2 guidelines to follow when setting questions for a questionnaire. Okay, same thing. Questionnaire, you want to use close questions. You want to keep the questions short. You want to group them, categorize them. That's what you want. Explain 1 reason why a database instead of a spreadsheet would be used to process data collected during research. 1 reason why you would basically use a database instead of a spreadsheet. Okay. And one of those reasons, I've got 3. Create a query, create a report, create a form. Right. And when the data is too complex, we go with access, not our spreadsheets. Okay, 6.5. You need to add an image to a document. Name one word processing feature that may be used to acknowledge a source. Come on, guys. You know this. You know this. You can have a bibliography. You can have an endnote, footnote, caption, anything like that. Give one example of the type of data you could add to acknowledge the source. So you could pop in the author's name, the name of the image, the website link that you got it from, the date it was created, and the publisher. Those are all things that you could use. Then they give us a picture. This is typical of what you will find, and I'm sure you'll find it in the 2023 paper as well. Study the extract from the report below. There's your report. You can see bike, run, participants. There's total participant code, ages, average age. Give 2 findings of this report. It's things I just mentioned. That there were 5 people riding their bikes or participating in the bike or with a bike instead of running. There were more people running than there were those on a bike. The average age of those with the bikes were higher than the folks who were running. Okay. So any of those. Then question number 7. So I think this is the last question for this section. No, question 8. Okay. So here we go. Social implication. This is a very interesting one as well, because here we start taking everything we know and we start bringing in things like malware and the real life scenarios in here as well. And it just builds from here to question 8, 9, and if there's a question 10 as well. So there are various types of viruses that affect a computer. Yeah, what is a virus? What is a computer virus? It's a program that's designed with malicious intent. Simple as that. It's designed to do something harmful. 2 ways in which a virus can affect the performance of the computer. It can slow it down. Files can become corrupt. Files can start disappearing. Programs themselves are suddenly missing and don't work properly anymore. Which term describes all the ways in which confidential information is obtained by abusing the trusting nature of people? Which term, so it's got to be a CAT term, that describes all the ways in which confidential information, in other words, conning people out of their confidential information. What is that overall term called? What is it named? It's social engineering. Then they want us to explain green computing. And I mean, this is just using the computer in a way that's not harmful to the environment. That's all you have to say. Name one energy-saving method that contributes to green computing. One energy-saving method that contributes to green computing. So what did we just say green computing is? Using the computer in a way that benefits or does not harm the environment. So how can we do that? Well, print on both pages. Switch off devices when you're not using them. Reduce the screen brightness. Enable battery saving mode if you're using a laptop. Any of those things, folks. You can use any of them. Then your friend wanted to download a song from the internet and clicked on the download button but was redirected to a malicious page. What is the term for the threat described above? 2 terms. The first one is clickjacking and the other one is farming. So it doesn't matter which one you use, but you can use either one of them. And then lastly, in this question, recommend 2 actions that your friend can take to prevent this from happening again. Well, maybe just download from legitimate sources, download from well-known websites, verify the website before downloading, keeping your browser up to date, making sure you install pop-up blockers as well, so you don't get those pop-ups coming your way. And the last question for about 15 marks, question 8 from section B. Here again, give a word processing feature. So what in Word will allow a user to format all the headings in a document at the same time? What is that feature? That is known as styles. Yes. Then a question on, look at this, tab stops. So tab stops, name 2 features that you can use to set tab stops in a Word document, and you can use the ruler and you can use the settings. That's it, ruler and settings. A leader line can be added with tab stops. Why would you add a leader line? Why would you add a leader line? Well, to improve readability, so the person can see headings on one side, or the title, or the name is on one side, and the page numbers on the other. So you are visually connecting the two. Maybe it's to add a signature or date lines, in documents where people want to sign, any of that. 8.3, they want us to study the screenshot. Here we've got a list. This looks like a multi-level list. You can see there from this level to that level to the next level. Okay. Which word processing feature has been used to create this list? We just said this now, the multi-level list. Explain why the date 15 July 2024 is not one of the list items and how the date can be displayed as a list item. Now, let's read it again. Explain why the date 15 July, oh, there it is, 15 July 2024, why it is not one of the list items. No, but it is one of the list items. And how the date can be displayed as a list item. No, the date is still part of the same paragraph because a line break or soft enter has been used. So a new number will only display for a new paragraph. Okay, so there you can see, there it's still part of the same line. That is why it's displayed like that. Explain the difference between TH, what's at your table header, and TD, your table data tag. So you just need to say what this is, what that is, done. Fields in a database table fields in a database table can consist of various data types. Explain, there's that word again. Explain when an OLE object data type might be used. Well, you use that for linking or inserting, files, videos, anything like that as data. So I know one question that usually comes up in Access is where they want you to allow the person to be able to upload a picture of themselves in that particular record. So that's where you would use that. And then lastly, second last, name 2 data types that can be used for text in a database table. Now, you can use things like short text, long text, or lookup when you want to do a combo box. Next one and last one for this section, for this question and section. Which 3 functions were combined to extract the username from the email address in the screenshot? So there's our username. The section is our username. And they're saying there were 3 functions that were combined to extract the username from the email address. What were those going to be? It's going to be left. Yes, because we're starting from the left. We need to use len, the length of characters in the string, and then find as well. So it can find where the @ is, so it knows it must only go as far as that. All right, and grade 12s, that is it for section B. I'll see you in the very last one. And let's just have a look here. Section C, it is 2 questions and it's got a total of 50 marks.